I'm Art Rosenbaum. 30 years ago, I started learning to play the old-time five-string banjo, mostly by looking up and recording non-professional rural musicians in Indiana and the Kentucky mountains. When I moved south to teach art at the University of Georgia, I continued to learn from and document old-time musicians. The five-string banjo has been called America's only original folk instrument. Actually, it was brought from Africa by black slaves, along with its name, banza, banjo, its drone string, and even the frailing style and a complex way it had of weaving intricate rhythms around a free vocal line. It's been popularized several times by the minstrel and medicine shows in the 19th century, then developed into the classic style, and more recently in this century by the bluegrass movement and the folk song revival. It has found special favor among Southern whites who adapted the black frolic tunes and frailing styles to their square dances and worked out tunings and song accompaniments, even to the old British ballads. These days, it's getting harder to find old-time pickers who learned their music from family and community before the influence of records, radio, and TV. We visited two of the best of these, Maybelle Cather of Franklin County in northeast Georgia's Piedmont, and W. Guy Bruce of Chattooga County in the mountains of northwest Georgia. Still strong pickers and singers in their late 80s, they've kept up the individualistic and self-sufficient lifestyle that seems to go with the rough and ready spirit of old-time banjo picking.
I joined Guy and Guy Jr. in an old-time dance tune called Number One. Guy is also a fine old-time tale teller.
So, this old fella went to the country store that morning. It was real late summer, early fall, and it was come kind of a chilly night, so like it did this time, you know. And every country store back then had what we call an old pot-bellied stove in it, and they're all telling stories, you know, and talking this other. And there's an old gentleman coming there, he's real old. He said, well, said, I've listened to your story, but said, I can tell you what happened, and it's the truth. Said, coons are just eating my corn up, just eating it literally up. And said, I went out there and looked at it and said, I seen I wasn't going to get no corn if I didn't do something. And then one of my neighbors told me just to put chloroform, go to the store, and get a bottle of chloroform and put a few drops on every ear, you know, and said that'd put them to sleep and I could kill them. So I went to the store, got me a bottle of chloroform and said, last night I put a few drops on all around the edge, you know. Said when I went back out there early this morning, just about daylight, there was 99 coons just sitting in the fence corners, leaning back asleep. Said I just took a stick and killed every one of them. Well, there was a young fella there, and he said, well, Grandpa said, you wouldn't, why don't you just make it 100 coons? Oh, made the old man mad. He said, you don't think I'd tell a lie for just one coon, do you?
Shout Lulu is one of the first pieces Guy learned, and it's still his favorite.
Shout, shout your best, raise your head and horn and stand. Shout, 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 shout. Shout, sing and pray, you gonna die from a rainy day. Shout, 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 shout. Don't you cry, that will bring you peace of pie. Shout, 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 shout. Horseman, that don't say words, that will buy you mockingbird. If that mockingbird is king, that will buy you mocking. A fire ring, shout, 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 shout. If that diamond ring is brass, that will buy you looking glad. If that's a broke, that will buy you Billy Goat. If that Billy Goat runs away, whoopee and bum ray, shout, 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 shout.
I asked Guy how he started playing the banjo.
Well, me and when I was a boy, my dad had a good possum dog. And we went one night a possum hunting. Well, the wind got to blowing, and there wasn't no count. You wasn't catching no possums or nothing. And there was a fella lived on just lived back off of the public road. He lived just a road went to his house about half a mile, and his nearest, we just switched into that road and come to his house. And his wife's, some of his wife's kinfolks is there. There's an old fellow by the name of Jack Camel and his boy. He was about my age. The old man Jack played the fiddle and his boy played the banjo. Well, that was the first time I ever seen a banjo or heard about one, don't you see? And I just carried away. I just went crazy. I just wanted a banjo so bad. Well, I found one in the store in Somerville. It was $2.50. Had 6 brackets on it. And I saved up my dimes and nickels so I could buy it. That's the way I got started in. I was about 12, 13 years old.
In 1919, Guy was playing for his family, with his cousin Jim Bruce beating straws on the banjo strings for accompaniment.
I'm going to play you a little bit of John Hedger like we used to play it, by golly, 75 years ago.
Guy farmed in early life and tried working as a mechanic in the cotton mills, but found he didn't like working for the other man no-how. Since 1912, he has repaired watches and clocks for a living, and while he no longer solicits work, he says his friends won't let me quit. Since being invited up to the Smithsonian Folklife Festival in 1980, Guy has delighted the public with his exuberant performances at events like the North Georgia Folk Festival.
You make my friend my foes, you make me wear old clothes, so here you are, and everybody knows I tip it up and down the store. Me, little brown jugger, don't I love me? Ah, you me, little brown jugger, don't I love me? Little brown jug all under my arm, I go toddling to my farm. I set it down in the shade of the tree. The little brown jug says you and me. Ah, you and me, little brown jug, don't I love me? Ah, you and me, little brown jug, don't I love me? If I had a cow that give such milk, roll her in the fire sail, to feed her on the Georgia tail, and milk her 40 times a day. Ah, you and me, little brown jug, don't I love me? Ah, you and me, little brown jug, don't I love me? Ah, you and me, little brown jug, don't I love me? Getting better all the time, ain't it?
While Guy's music has gotten better from playing for the public, Maybelle Cawthorn lives alone and keeps in practice playing for her own pleasure and for her cats and dogs.
Will you play with me? Will you play with me? All right, you can.
Maybelle lives outside Carnesville, Georgia, and has supported herself by selling produce from her garden. Her neighbors call her the old vegetable woman, or Buck, because she likes to buck dance. While modern banjo pickers play in the three-finger bluegrass style, Maybelle and Guy use the older frailing and two-finger picking styles of the rural South.
Of age when that one was made. I worked in 2 cotton mills. I run 2 spoolers the whole blessed time. Went in at 11 o'clock at night and come off at 7 the next morning. This is me right here when I was 42 years old. I was living in Anderson, South Carolina. But I still had my old banjo with me, you see. That's an old banjo art. Bug dance all the time with them spoolers. We're letting them up and down like that. Trouble ain't mine, I'm blue. But the blue ball is always. So that man I'm blue. But the blue ball is always. For the sun gonna shine, my back over someday. Down to that river, One thing is about me living by myself is I married a man, he was a drunkard, and I couldn't live with him, and I couldn't stay with him. So we just knocked loose from one another, and I come to living by myself. I had my own furniture, you know, everything. Didn't own no home at that time. I'd rent it then. And little fella says I could go to bed when I wanted to, and I could get up when I wanted to. That's what I like about it. Go to bed when I want to, and get up when I want to. I went to bed last night at 9 o'clock and got up today at 9 o'clock. But I had to build a fire when I got up. It was cold. It's cold down here on this river.
We asked Maybelle what her music means to her.
Well, it's my life. I just love it so well. Don't make no difference what I'm doing. If I hear good music, I'm going to stop. Listen to that music. And a 5-string banjo is my pick of all of it. Of course, now I like that piano too. I used to play a guitar. I used to be good on guitar. I could play anything on guitar. But that finger's crooked down there. It won't get over on it and note it from it. Not note it from it at all. Arthritis. And I didn't know that's what it was till they put me down there.
Down yonder to Maybelle is Hardwick Prison for Women, where she recently served several months for selling marijuana to an undercover agent, a charge she still denies. Her toughness carried her through the stint as Georgia's oldest woman prisoner, and she can sing the old jail song, Bird in a Cage, from first-hand experience.
Down on my knees, I'm praying to God to give me heart ease. Bird in my cage, bird in my cage. Darling, I feel like a bird in a cage. Oh, write me a letter, send it by mail. Back it in care of Cornville jail. Bird in my cage, love, singing so sweet. We lay in heaven, I hope I will meet. Bird in my cage, love, bird in my cage. Darling, I feel like a bird in a cage.
Though she grew up in the square dancing and banjo picking crowd, Maybelle also loves the old hymns and gospel songs.
Walk blind, but now I see.
Sometimes she's called up for a solo at a local church.
With my soul in the cold, cold clay, I live on, yes, I live on. Sleepy seasons every day by day. I live on, yes, I live on. I live on and on, yes, I live on. Till eternity, I live on. I live on. Oh, till eternity, I live on.
I asked Maybelle how long she has been playing the banjo.
Ever since I was 8 years old. I come this time when I was 8 years old. My brother played a banjo, and he'd go off to work every day. I'd always mock him, didn't make no difference what he done. He'd go off, and I'd go in there to his bed, and I'd get the banjo off. I'd mess with it, you know. He'd come in, he'd say, well, somebody's had a hold of my banjo. Somebody's had a hold of my banjo. I said, Tom, I just went in there and made up your bed and moved your banjo and laid it back. I was afraid to tell him for a good while, you know. Finally, he finally come home. I'll tell you, somebody's had a hold of my banjo. I said, yeah, you come on in here. I'm going to do it just exactly like you done. And I done caught it and I played for him. I bet you he jumped that high up off the floor when he found out I could play it.
What piece did you play? That was his
Oh,
favorite
it's a
piece.
real old timer way back in my heart. Going down that road feeling bad was one of the places that he played.
Can you play that?
Can I play it? I don't know, Art. Can I? Going down the road feeling get it all together now.
Maybelle also has her own old-time lick on the piano and plays pop country numbers as well as gospel and traditional folk songs.
Think you are so good looking. Think you are so hot. You think you got something that nobody else ain't got. You caused me to spend all of my money. You call me a Santa Claus. I'm telling you, honey, I'm telling you, just because. I made that one for you.
Maybelle picks the rare Tom Watson tune in a combination of frailing and up-picking in an unusual old tuning.
He done caught that piece. I'll let this one let you have it. I used to play in Anderson. I remember from all the time over there. I played for him for years over there. And sometimes I'd have to lay the banjo down and hit the floor. I'd have to mark old Ben's carvings away all the fiddle, and you put me in the mind of Ben playing the fiddle more than anybody else I've seen in my life. I wish I knew where he was still living tonight. Kip Nash played the guitar, and Ben Scarborough played the fiddle. Me with a 5-string banjo. Boy, way before we ever got in a building, you could hear, oh, come that banjo-picking Maybelle slapping her hands and a jumping.
Since her childhood, Maybelle has sung The Dying Girl, a sad old parlor song. She and W. Guy Bruce stick to the homemade music they grew up with because it provides a link with the past, but, more important, because it gives expression and energy to their later years.